Hi, everybody. We've been talking about the metric system, and as we continue, let's talk about some really wonderful things that were designed right into the metric system because the metric system was created and designed to be a very efficient system of units. There were some interrelationships between mass, volume, and length that were built right in that, frankly, most people, unless they've studied the metric system real carefully, are not aware of. So let's spend some time talking about those. First off, let's talk about the relationship between length and volume. Now, if you and I wanted to calculate the volume of some sort of a cubic or rectangular solid, the simple equation is volume is length times width times height. If we had a tissue box or a brick or something and we wanted to calculate that volume, that simple equation is what we would use. So let's say I had something about the size of a sugar cube or a bouillon cube or something a little bit larger than a Jelly Belly jelly bean, and it was 1 centimeter wide, 1 centimeter deep, and 1 centimeter high. What would be the total volume of that object? Well, I would use that equation, length times width times height, 1 centimeter times 1 centimeter times 1 centimeter. And you know 1 times 1 times 1 is going to be 1. But centimeters times themselves 3 times, anything times itself 3 times, is going to be centimeters cubed. So 1 cubic centimeter built into this crazy, wacky metric system is exactly the same quantity of volume as 1 milliliter. That was by design. That wasn't an accident. That was built in. So 1 cubic centimeter equals 1 milliliter. You also sometimes will hear the term cc. If you watch doctor shows, those of you in the health fields, even something as simple as a dosage of cough syrup or medication for your child. It may say, give the child so many cc's of this medication every so often. cc is an abbreviation for cubic centimeter. It is just another way of saying this exact same thing. I want you to put a box around this. I want you to put a star by this. This is one of those really important pieces of information. These are exactly the same. They are 3 different ways of saying identical amounts of matter. Now, what I'm going to ask you on study guides and quizzes is I'm going to ask you to convert between these 3, cubic centimeters, milliliters, and cc's. And if you just know this or can access it really quickly, this is going to be the easiest questions you ever encounter. For example, 39.2 milliliters is how many cc's? Well, they're the same thing, so it's going to be 39.2 cc's. If I've got 1.7 cubic centimeters, how many milliliters is that? Well, it's 1.7 milliliters. Same exact thing, because they're kind of like calling something a tissue or a Kleenex. They're the same thing. It just one happens to be a brand name. Well, what if the problem gets a little bit trickier? Let's say I have 150 cc's and I want to know how many liters that is. Well, then that starts being a 2-part problem. 150 cc's, a cc is a milliliter, so that's 150 milliliters. And then going from milliliters back to liters, I am going to have to go 1, 2, 3 on my number line, so that's 0.150 liters. So that's kind of a 2-step process. Now, can you go the opposite direction? If you think you got it, hit pause, try this, and then we'll go through it together. All right, 0.68 liters is how many cubic centimeters? So we've got to go liters to milliliters and then back to cubic centimeters. So liters to milliliters. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So 680 milliliters. A milliliter is a cubic centimeter. So 680 cubic centimeters. Not bad at all, is it? All right, hit pause, take a moment, go through these and make sure that you've got this, because trust me, these are going to be on the study guide and they're going to be on this week's quiz. Okay, here goes. 781 cubic centimeters, 2 cc's. Well, a cubic centimeter is a cc, so 781. cc's to milliliters, same thing, 3.2 milliliters. Liters to cc's, 2 steps. We can't go directly, so we've got to go liters to milliliters and then milliliters to cc's. So 1, 2, 3. So 400 milliliters, that's going to be 400 cc's. Cubic centimeters to liters. So we're going to have to go cubic centimeters to milliliters. Well, 231 cubic centimeters is 231 milliliters. Milliliters to liters, we're going to have to move the decimal 1, 2, 3. So 0.231 liters. Now that's not the only interconnection between different units in the metric system. It's not just volume and length. There's also a mass volume connection. But remember I said the metric system is based on the number 10 and the most common compound on the surface of the earth, water. They built this into the system. 1 milliliter of water has the mass of 1 gram. Now, this is true for those of you who have a little more advanced chemistry at standard temperature and pressure. That's where this is true. So 1 milliliter of water has a mass of 1 gram, and 1 liter of water has a mass of 1 kilogram. Put a box around this, put a star by this. These are very important pieces of information that I'm going to ask you to know, but make sure that you understand this is only true for water, not true for any other compound. But it's very, very handy in lots of different applications. So let's see if we can use it. On this volume and mass connection, let's say I have 53.6 milliliters of water. What is the mass of that water? Well, if it's water, then it's going to be 53.6 grams. If I have 7.2 grams of water, what's the volume? It's going to be 7.2 milliliters. 1 liter of water has a mass of 1 kilogram. So if I've got 1.6 liters of water, what's going to be its mass? 1.6 kilograms. Okay, let's see how clever you're feeling today. So let's say I've got a 2-liter bottle of soda pop. And I want to know what's the approximate mass of that 2-liter bottle of soda pop. You can impress your friends with this crazy bits of knowledge. It's 2 liters. So 2 liters means it should be about 2 kilograms. Now, question. It's not just pure water, is it? It's water plus stuff. Now, what stuff is going to be in there? Well, a lot of it is going to be sugar. So do you think this is going to be more than 2 kilograms or less than 2 kilograms? Oh, yeah. So it's going to be slightly more than 2 kilograms for all of the flavoring and the sugar that's involved. But you can logic through an awful lot of this stuff. What if you got asked this question? I've got 3.91 milliliters of alcohol. What's its mass? And the answer is, I don't know. We need more information, and the more information that we need has to do with the kind of alcohol we're talking about, its density, and that's why in future lectures and talks we're going to talk about density and things like that. Because remember, this only works for water. Water is the thing that these connections work for. All right, hit pause, go through these, make sure you've got this down, and then we'll come back and we'll do these together. Alrighty, I've got a 500 milliliter beaker and it's full of water. What is the mass of the water in the beaker? Well, if it's 500 milliliters of water, it should be equal to 500 grams because 1 milliliter of water equals 1 gram of water. Just water, and we're just talking about the water, not the water plus the beaker. A recipe calls for 320 grams of water. How many milliliters of water must be added to the recipe? Again, we're just talking about the water. It's 320 milliliters. Okay, this is a tricky multi-step question. A patient consumes 2.350 kilograms of water per day. How many cc's of fluid is this? All right, we got to go through a whole bunch of different steps, but you know all the pieces, so let's do it. 2.35 kilos of water. So that's going to be 2.35 kilograms of water is going to be equal to 2.350 liters, because for water, 1 kilogram is a liter. In order to get to cc's, we've got to go from liters to milliliters. So I'm going to go boom, boom, boom. So 2,350 milliliters, and a milliliter is equivalent to a cc. So the answer is going to be 2,350 cc's. And these are the kind of questions you're going to have on that study guide and on the next week's quiz. All right, see you then. Bye-bye.